Hello, everyone. Before we begin, I have something of an announcement to make, something that's going to be changing a little bit around here. So, as the channel grows, certain things are going to happen that are a little bit out of the norm, but it's not a bad thing. Now, if you paid particular attention to my layout, you notice that the socials down below and all those are now scrolling by and now feature a little bit more information than they used to. Just little reminders periodically through the video. That's a minor thing, but a major thing is now part of it because as of today, I am now affiliated with Entertainment Earth. What that means is that every now and then, those social links will scroll out of the way. You'll see a reminder that I have a URL you can go to, ee.toys/TJOmega, which lets you shop Entertainment Earth with a 10% discount. There you go. And every purchase you make there is going to help the channel as well. Also, I'll be a good shill and mention that, yes, they have a free shipping deal going on right now. It does stack with my discount. So, from now on, you get to shop there. You get a little bit of money off if you use my link. And you're going to get the toys you're going to buy anyway and support the channel at the same time. Everybody wins. So I am super excited about it. I'm going to drop a reminder here and there, but for the most part, I won't try to be like really aggressive with it, but it is a show of the channel growing, evolving. It's nothing but good stuff, and I thank Entertainment Earth for giving me the opportunity. Now, I also just going to let you know, there's going to be a few things coming in that I did take a couple of sponsor things, so just keep an eye out. There's going to be a couple things that seem out of my ballpark, but I want to give a few different things a try, so it's going to be interesting to say the least. But for now, we have an actual video to get to. Thank you for listening to my rambling, but I'm excited over this because this is a super cool opportunity. All right, Mount Rushmore. All right, so this is an oddball topic, but you have to remember, for me, I am also a wrestling fan, and when wrestling fans talk to each other, they will often ask, what is your Mount Rushmore of wrestling? And a lot of people will use that to kind of interpret, oh, well, these are my 4 favorite wrestlers of all time. But that's not what it should be about. It should be about who the 4 most important people that you think there are to the industry, you know? So, kind of like the same way that these were at the time considered to be the 4 most important presidents responsible for the way our country is today. For good and bad, but that's political. We're not getting in there. We're not going to go there. But, yeah, so this is, of course, like a national landmark that should be familiar to just about anyone who's ever opened a history book. And I kind of got to wondering, if I were to apply the wrestling aspect of like the question, who is your Mount Rushmore? If we apply that to Transformers, what would the list look like? Who would actually be carved into the side of a mountain, which was sacred until we ruined it? But you know, that's neither here nor there. We're here to talk about the Transformer brand. So, who would be the 4? Who would I consider to be the 4 most important people to the brand as a whole? Well, we have to start with the most obvious one, which is going to be Peter Cullen himself, the Optimus Prime voice actor for, almost 40 years now, and you couldn't imagine anyone else as just like the classic Optimus Prime. There's plenty of other people who have taken on the role, and that I think have done a good job at the role. But no one really comes close to the delivery, the baritone, it's like the tone of Optimus Prime. He sounds like, like this powerful superhero type. Not even not even like a military general or anything, but like he sounds like a hero, and he just sounds powerful and inspiring. And it's just such a perfect performance for a character like Optimus Prime. So, when Peter Cullen was auditioning for this role, he asked for advice from his brother, who was actually in the military. And the advice given was to, I'm gonna phrase it incorrectly. I apologize for that, but the phrase was something akin to like be strong enough to be kind. Which was to give, like, don't just, like, go in there with, like, military bravado. Don't just go in there with, like, drill sergeant in mind, but, like, make Optimus strong enough to sound, like, to actually, like, sound kind and warm-hearted, but still with that sternness and that power behind it that lets you know he's not to be trifled with either. He's strong enough in character to actually be able to act more gentle or do silly things, like learn how to play basketball and still be a respectable leader. And I think, of course, a lot of that goes into the writing of Optimus Prime, but I feel like the soul of a character in animation comes from that voice actor. So that is a very important thing for someone like Peter to impart into the character. So I think that is just the gold standard for Optimus Prime, and it's always going to be. He's just, the quintessential Transformers performer, and he's done plenty of other roles. He did Eeyore. He did Eeyore. He did Monterey Jack and Rescue Rangers. Like, he kept busy as a voice actor, but and he makes the Predator noises. But to the point, we know him. Like, his career is because of Transformers, and it's an awesome thing. We wouldn't have it any other way. For number 2, we got to go over to the Marvel Comics side of things. We got to talk about Bob Budianski. Bob is the guy that Hasbro put in charge of basically creating the entire brand. They knew they wanted to bring these toys in from Japan. They knew they wanted to do some kind of good guy versus bad guy scenario because that's what's always worked in toy brands. And they decided that, they were going to entrust Bob to basically coming up with everything, So these are those planning meetings you heard about where they had all the toys out on the table, and whoever felt like a bad guy got moved over to the Decepticons. Anyone who felt like a good guy got moved to the Autobots. And this is where things are created as far as, like, who these characters ended up becoming. So Bob came up with the names, the personalities, the characterizations, the stats. He came up with the original tech specs as well. Literally everything that went into making these things actual characters on a toy shelf came from Bob. And not all of it was a hit. You may not have ever heard of Transformer characters like Ulchtar. You probably never heard of Slazzer. You probably never heard of Sprint. That's because they eventually became, Starscream, Laserbeak, and Windcharger. So not all of Bob's names stuck, but Bob was the guy at Marvel entrusted with basically creating the characterization of all these different toys out of Japan and figuring out how they all cobbled together to make sense. And because he was working at Marvel, he was also one of the main writers of the Marvel Comics, which was the go-to fiction for a lot of old-school Transformer fans, above even the original cartoon, just because it was allowed to do more, it was allowed to be more mature, it was allowed to go deeper into the franchise and the mythos than the cartoon had time for. And it had the ability, and because it's a comic book, it had a serialized story, not episodic like the cartoon was. A lot of advantages, but a lot of it came from this man's imagination. So a lot of what we love, a lot of the characters we love, who knows what they would have turned into if it wasn't for Bob creating them in the first place. So a lot of our favorites we owe to him. Number 3 on the mountain. And now we have to jump all the way over to Japan. And we have to talk about Koji Ono. So, this was a Takara... He's been with Takara for a long, long time now. And he is one of the original designers for the lines that would eventually become Transformers, Microman, and Diaclone. Now, he's got his name stamped on a lot of Transformers over the years, and some really special ones, too. So, this is the guy that this is the guy you look at for like Fortress Maximus, the guy who created like the largest Transformer of all time, or at least at the time, it was the largest Transformer at the time. Let's see. I'm looking at the. I was gonna say, I'm trying to remember what else he has. No, I'm looking up the list because it's extensive. I also want to make sure I get a few things correct. But this is he's the one who created triple changers like Astro Train and Blitzwing. He's responsible for Metroplex, Ape Face, Super Jinrai. Your Power Master Optimus Prime. Worked on a ton of things for the 2007 Transformers toy line, which I find to be a marvelous thing because that toy line was so rushed. So to come up with good toys in a very quick amount of time, the person they put in charge of that had to be really good at what they did. He makes the list because he has been there since before Transformers was a thing. Like I said, he was the guy who was creating Diaclone and Microman figures. The most important one, however, is Sunstreaker. For those who are not aware, Sunstreaker is literally the first Transformer to ever exist. His design is credited as the very first car-to-robot transforming toy. That puts Sunstreaker in a very strange place considering how little Sunstreaker really gets used these days. Kind of weird in that he has such a prominent place but is also so low on the totem pole as far as getting used, which probably has to do with the fact that his character was completely usurped by Bumblebee, being a just yellow and black Autobot sports car. Basically, all he has left now is his vanity, and we have tracks for that. So, feel bad for Sunstreaker, but Koji Ono absolutely deserves to be on this list, and it's still going. Like right now, he's in charge of the Masterpiece toy line. The man is a genius. The man is an engineering and character creation genius. So all the credit to him. We would not have a lot of the best stuff without him. And the fourth name on this list, this is probably the least known, but you probably heard the name recently. So this is Henry Orenstein. Henry Orenstein is the guy who actually connected Takara and Hasbro and convinced the CEO of Hasbro to adopt these different toy lines out of Japan and adapt them into what would eventually be called Transformers. Without him connecting the bridge, we would not have this franchise at all. This man may be the sole reason Transformers exists, which is kind of a huge thing. The man himself had a pretty incredible life. Tumultuous life, but pretty incredible one as well. He was born around the time of World War II. He was born in Poland. He had a family that ended up in the concentration camps during the Holocaust. He survived 5 different concentration camps before he was rescued, before he was able to immigrate to America. So the man survived one of the worst hardships you ever could, and somehow ended up in the toy industry when he came over. The man is responsible for a ton of things. So at one time in America, this man held over 100 different patents for toys. This is also the man who came up with things like the Johnny Lightning series of die-cast cars, among, obviously dozens and dozens of other things. This is a man who was such a threat to the toy industry in America that Mattel used to have meetings about him. He didn't work for Mattel, but Mattel needed to figure out how to stop this guy. It's pretty incredible. It's a pretty incredible life story. I suggest looking it up. I believe there is a book based on this. I'm just gonna look it up real quick because I want to say I read something about a book. Okay, he authored 2 books. His autobiography, "I Shall Live: Surviving Against All Odds," and then "I Shall Live: Surviving the Holocaust" is the new name, or "I Shall Live: Surviving the Holocaust Against All Odds." So a little of everything. All right, so you can you can absolutely read about his life and just all the hardships he went through to actually become something of a vital piece of toy history. Also, all the way up until his death of last year, he actually co-owned the patent for the rub sign, for the heat-sensitive stickers that we use to identify whether something was Autobot or Decepticon. So he always had that little piece of Transformers right there. So, if we're talking about the Mount Rushmore of Transformers, those are, in my opinion, the 4 most important people to this franchise. And I was going to Photoshop their heads onto Mount Rushmore, but I didn't know if that would be insulting to somebody, you know. Here's a shot from Triple Takeover with a fake Mount Rushmore of Decepticon heads. It's as close as I'm going to get right now without tempting anything. But that is my list. It's a quick little list, but hey, it's worth talking about because like this franchise has some people that are absolutely vital cogs to the entirety of its existence. And I think it's important to shout them out, and I think it's important to realize just how much came together in order to make this franchise exist. And it really is an incredible, like even this list of 4 is an incredible group of people for very different reasons that is really, really special. So that's my list. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and thank you as always for listening. And of course, if you like what you see, you've been seeing the scroll the entire video. There's plenty of ways to help the channel and keep it going, support it, and I appreciate each and every one of them. And thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.